Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to tell you a story. Not about success. Not about money. Not about fame. But about something much heavier. Regret. I want you to imagine a man sitting alone in a small, quiet room. The paint on the walls is slightly cracked. The clock is ticking louder than usual. Outside the window, the world is moving fast. Cars pass. People laugh. Life continues. But inside that room, time feels frozen. That man is me. And for years, I carried the weight of regret like a shadow that never left my side. I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always someone who looked back more than he looked forward. There was a time when I was full of ideas, full of energy, full of dreams so big they scared me. I used to tell myself that one day, I would build something meaningful. One day, I would transform my life. One day, I would make my family proud. But, one day, is a dangerous phrase. Because one day can quietly turn into, not today. And, not today, becomes, maybe tomorrow. And tomorrow becomes next week. Then next month. Then next year. And before you know it, years have slipped through your fingers like sand. I remember waking up every morning with good intentions. I would say, today I'm going to start. Today I'm going to wake up early. Today I'm going to work on my goals. Today I'm going to say no to distractions. But when the alarm rang, I hit snooze. When the work got hard, I took a break. When discipline was required, I chose comfort. It never felt like a big decision in the moment. It felt small. Harmless. Just 5 more minutes of sleep. Just one more episode. Just one more scroll. Just one more excuse. But small decisions repeated daily create a life. And my life slowly became a reflection of those small, undisciplined choices. I watched people around me move forward. Friends started businesses. Classmates got promotions. People I once stood next to were now miles ahead. And I told myself stories to feel better. They were lucky. They had connections. They had more talent. But deep down, I knew the truth. They had discipline. And I didn't. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't show off. It doesn't post motivational quotes every hour. Discipline is quiet. It's waking up when you don't feel like it. It's working when no one is watching. It's choosing long-term growth over short-term pleasure. I used to think motivation was the key. I would wait for the perfect mood, the perfect energy, the perfect spark. But motivation is like the weather. It changes without warning. Some days it shines. Other days it disappears. Discipline is different. Discipline shows up even when you don't want to. I learned that lesson the hard way. There was a moment in my life that changed everything. It wasn't dramatic. There were no fireworks. No life-threatening event. Just a quiet realization that hit me like a wave. I was sitting at a family gathering. Relatives were talking about achievements. Someone had just bought a house. Someone else had completed a degree. Another cousin was getting married and building a stable life. And then someone asked me, "So what are you doing these days?" Such a simple question. But I felt my chest tighten. I gave a vague answer. I smiled. I nodded. I changed the topic. But inside, something broke. Because for the first time, I realized I didn't have a clear answer. I wasn't building anything. I wasn't moving forward. I was surviving. Drifting. Reacting. That night, I couldn't sleep. The question echoed in my mind. What are you doing with your life? Not what do you want? Not what do you plan? But what are you actually doing? And the honest answer was painful. I was wasting time. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a reckless way. But in a slow, quiet, socially acceptable way. Scrolling. Procrastinating. Avoiding hard things. Choosing comfort again and again. And the cost wasn't visible immediately. But it was accumulating. Regret doesn't appear overnight. It builds silently. It collects in the background. It waits. Until one day, you feel its full weight. For me, that weight felt like a heavy backpack filled with missed opportunities. Missed mornings. Missed workouts. Missed chances to learn. Missed chances to take risks. Missed chances to grow. And what hurt the most wasn't failure. It was inaction. I could have accepted failure. At least failure means you tried. At least failure means you stepped forward and stumbled. But I hadn't even stepped. I had stayed still. That realization was unbearable. But it was also the beginning of change. Because sometimes, you need to feel the full weight of regret to understand the value of discipline. The next morning, I did something simple. I didn't create a massive plan. I didn't redesign my entire life. I didn't promise to wake up at 4 a.m. and conquer the world. I just made one decision. I would stop negotiating with myself. When the alarm rang, I would get up. No debate. When it was time to work, I would work. No excuses. When it was time to train, I would train. No delays. It sounded small. Almost insignificant. But it was the first brick in rebuilding my life. The first few days were uncomfortable. My body resisted. My mind complained. Every part of me wanted to return to the old habits. Comfort is addictive. Laziness can feel warm and familiar. Discipline feels cold at first. But I reminded myself of the weight of regret. Every time I felt like quitting, I asked myself one question. What will hurt more tomorrow? The pain of discipline today, or the pain of regret later? That question changed everything. Because regret is heavier. Discipline is hard, yes. Waking up early is hard. Saying no to distractions is hard. Pushing through when you're tired is hard. But regret is heavier. Regret stays. Regret whispers at night. Regret shows up at family gatherings. Regret looks at you in the mirror and asks, what could you have been? I didn't want to live with that question anymore. So I started small. I built a morning routine. Nothing fancy. Just waking up at the same time. Drinking water. Moving my body. Reading for 20 minutes. I limited my screen time. I set boundaries. I scheduled focused work sessions. I tracked my progress. And something strange happened. I started to respect myself again. Discipline isn't just about productivity. It's about self-trust. When you say you're going to do something and you do it, even when it's hard, you build trust with yourself. For years, I had broken promises to myself. I said I would start. I didn't. I said I would change. I didn't. I said I would commit. I quit. And every broken promise weakened my confidence. Discipline rebuilt it. One completed task at a time. One early morning at a time. One hard decision at a time. Weeks turned into months. The changes were not dramatic at first. I wasn't suddenly rich. I wasn't suddenly famous. I wasn't suddenly perfect. But I was consistent. And consistency compounds. Skills improved. Health improved. Focus improved. Opportunities started appearing, not because of luck, but because I was prepared. Discipline doesn't guarantee instant results. It guarantees growth. And growth, over time, changes everything. The most powerful moment came when someone asked me again, "So what are you doing these days?" This time, my answer was clear. I spoke with confidence. Not arrogance. Not exaggeration. Just clarity. Because I knew what I was building. And more importantly, I knew who I was becoming. The weight of regret had become lighter. Not because the past disappeared, but because I was no longer adding to it. That's the thing about regret. You can't change yesterday. But you can stop creating new regrets today. I often think about the older version of myself. The man I will be in 20, 30, 40 years. I imagine him sitting in a chair, looking back at this moment. What would he want me to do? Would he want me to choose comfort? Or courage? Would he want me to scroll for hours? Or build something meaningful? Would he want me to say, "I wish I had tried"? Or, "I'm proud I didn't quit"? When I think like that, discipline becomes easier. Because it's no longer about today's discomfort. It's about tomorrow's peace. There is a story I once heard about two pains in life. The pain of discipline. And the pain of regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. I didn't understand that before. Now I do. Discipline is waking up when it's dark outside and your bed feels warm. Regret is waking up years later and realizing you never chased your dream. Discipline is saving money instead of spending impulsively. Regret is struggling later because you never prepared. Discipline is studying when others are relaxing. Regret is wishing you had taken your education seriously. Discipline is uncomfortable in the present. Regret is devastating in the future. And the future always arrives faster than we think. If you're watching this right now and you feel stuck, if you feel like you're drifting, if you feel the quiet weight of wasted time, I want you to know something. You are not alone. I was there. Many people are there. But you don't have to stay there. Change doesn't require a dramatic transformation overnight. It requires a decision. A decision to stop betraying yourself. A decision to stop waiting for motivation. A decision to act, especially when you don't feel like it. Start small. Wake up when you say you will. Finish what you start. Do the hard thing first. Limit the distractions. Protect your time. Each small act of discipline is a vote for the person you want to become. And over time, those votes create identity. I used to see myself as someone who lacked discipline. Now I see myself as someone who keeps promises. That shift changed my life more than any external achievement. Because when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. The weight of regret taught me a lesson I wish I had learned earlier. Time is neutral. It doesn't care about your dreams. It doesn't slow down for your excuses. It keeps moving. And every day, it asks the same silent question. What are you doing with me? For years, my answer was weak. Now, my answer is intentional. Not perfect. Not flawless. But intentional. There are still days when I feel tired. Days when I don't want to work. Days when comfort calls my name. But now, I recognize that voice. And I choose differently. Not because it's easy. But because I remember the weight of regret. I remember that empty feeling of having no answer. I remember that silent night of realization. And I refuse to go back. Discipline didn't just change my schedule. It changed my identity. It turned me from a passive observer of life into an active participant. It turned my dreams from fantasies into plans. It turned my time from something I wasted into something I invested. And the best part? The peace. There is a quiet peace that comes from knowing you did what you were supposed to do today. Even if the results aren't visible yet. Even if no one applauds. Even if progress feels slow. That peace is powerful. Because it replaces regret. And when regret no longer controls you, you become free. So if you take anything from this story, let it be this. Don't wait until regret becomes unbearable. Don't wait until years have passed. Don't wait until someone asks you a question you can't answer. Choose discipline now. Choose the small hard thing. Choose consistency. Choose to build self-trust. One day, you will look back at this moment. And you will either feel gratitude or regret. The choice is made in the small decisions you take today. I am still on this journey. I am not finished. But I am no longer carrying the same weight. And that alone has changed everything. Thank you for being here. And if this story resonated with you, remember this. The life you want is on the other side of the discipline you avoid. Don't let future you carry the weight of today's excuses. Start now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now.